Welcome once again to another edition of the Launchpad Podcast. My name is J-Man. You can find us online at the launchpadpodcast.com for everything Launchpad, and subscribe at youtube.com/JManIsAlive. Now, this is a chat that kind of fell into my lap through unfortunate means, but very fortunate to have this gentleman on the show. This is Kevin Street, and we go way back, actually, and we'll go into that a little bit. And he recently went in for a vaccination, like so many people do. And let me say this as a disclaimer. I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your body. I'm just sharing a story of a friend who's looking to get that story out there because he's been having a very difficult time getting his life back on track, going through the proper and necessary means, and having the other side basically coming up short. So Kevin was injured by vaccination, correct, Kevin?
That's correct.
Okay. And we'll just say this right off the top. Which one did you have?
I received AstraZeneca.
Okay. And did you have any idea before you went to get this shot that something like this was even possible? You didn't see anything online. You weren't worried at all. You just went for it.
Yeah, I went for it. I did see lots of, this and that's out there, but, there was enough examples I thought out there of, funding and stuff that was really promoting the needle in its safeness. So I went for it.
Right. Okay. Now, I can't lie. When I first saw your video, I was like, oh, well, I know this guy, number one. And then I hate to say it, Kevin, I thought you were fucking around. I didn't know that it was through vaccination because you're a joker. And to dive into how I know Kevin, we used to work at a car dealership together, and they were always pulling practical jokes like having the brake grease on phones. So when someone would pick up a phone, they'd have grease all over their face, and basically everyone else would try not to laugh. And you did it to me a couple of times. I think it was Novocaine around like my drinking glass or my coffee. We share a laugh about it now, but this is no joke. This is seriously flipped your life upside down. Tell me how this started. It's just a regular day. Walk me through it.
Yeah. So, you know what? Let's go right back to the day of the vax, because really and truly, that's kind of my first indicator that something wasn't right. So I went in, I was just a normal Joe walking into Rexall to get my vaccination done because I was at work and I figured, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go get it done. So I did. I went in, I got the vaccination. Actually, I spoke to the pharmacist, asked him a couple questions as well. And, the simple question is you feel kind of spooked a little bit. I said, hey, is it safe? And like you said, I like to joke around, and that's kind of what I was doing. And, he came back in the same way and said, it's better than getting COVID. So I thought, all right, well, let's get her done then. So I got this vaccination and went throughout the day and figured, it is what it is. It's done. As soon as I got the needle, I knew I got a needle, and I knew that there was something put into my body, but I really didn't give it a second thought. That night I went home. I started getting the shakes, got the tremor. I basically had a nasty fever, and it was like a onset of a really bad flu. Lasted 4 days. I finally just said, okay, enough is enough, because I can't spend this much time in bed. And got myself out of bed and started going back to work and just kind of trying to go back to, like you said, life is normal. And, 2-3 hours a day was the best I had. And I've never been like that before. I've always, like you said, when I worked at the car lot, those were 11-hour days. And these days are no different. So, in a nutshell, I went through about 2 weeks like that. And then this was kind of the next switch that got flicked. So I was at work in the afternoon, and I got a little bit dizzy at work, and I thought, wow, that's kind of weird. And I mentioned it to my coworker, and he said, do you want to sit down or whatever? And me being me, I just, let's just get through it, and kept on going, and didn't think anything about it. I went home, and my wife and I were having a conversation on our back deck at our house, and I just collapsed.
You've only had one shot.
Yeah.
So this is okay, because I usually hear that if there's usually a difficult time with the shot, it's usually the second. And
Yeah.
this is your first reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're on the back deck.
So yeah, I'm on the back deck, and like you said, I like to pull a lot of pranks, and when this happened, I was literally eye to eye with my wife. And when I passed out, my eyes rolled back in my head, and I literally landed in a chair.
Mhm.
So I guess I was out for 5-10 seconds, and when I did come to, she was looking at me in the face and saying, are you kidding around? And I'm like, I really don't know what's going on, right? So I'm looking around and very disoriented, and it took me probably 10-15 minutes just to figure out that this was something that happened with myself, and not from the past of whatever the case may be, someone else being responsible for knocking me out or something. That's literally what it was. And when I then we called telehealth and spoke to them, and they said, get into the hospital right away.
Okay.
So yeah.
So now, just to fast forward things a little bit.
Yep.
Is that now you've had this reaction, you're not thinking that this reaction has anything to do with the vaccination that you had?
No.
No. Okay. You're just thinking this is from like a previous bar fight, whatever it might be. Now you're being told to go into the hospital. It might be something more serious. And I have also seen through your videos that you've shared is that this seems to be progressively getting worse. Walk us through the baby steps of what it was like from the second that you got to the hospital, the treatment that you got from the people at the hospital, and how far, or did they even bother to dig into the possibility that it was due to the jab?
Okay. So first hospital visit, we zipped in right away because telehealth already sent through my information to the emergency room. Fortunately, I didn't have to wait very long to get, assistance. So they took me in pretty much instantly, checked my vitals and all that stuff. And ironically, things were, apart from high blood pressure, things came back pretty normal. Which was kind of alarming because I'm like, wow, there's definitely something wrong going on here. And, we need to figure this out. So that day, I was pretty much there throughout the whole night, and went home the next morning, discharged with depression. I was told that I was depressed. And as you know, and many others who know me, I am far from depressed. I may have the odd issue going on, but I find ways to make myself happy. So,
Right.
at that point in time, I thought, okay, there's something seriously wrong here. Things aren't showing up on the radar. Something's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I still was not coherent properly. I couldn't think. My mind was completely fogged. I felt like I was coming off one of the worst hangovers I ever had in my life. It was absolutely horrible. I was disoriented. My wife was having conversations with me, and I just couldn't follow them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It really did get right into my mind. And, hence we think you're depressed, because getting into my nervous system actually attacked those receptors in my brain that, make me feel sad, make me feel happy. And, I thought it was wearing off, and, these were just small side effects and stuff. But then when this kicked in, I thought, well, you know what, maybe this is a continuation of what's going on. The medical staff constantly told me that, this has nothing to do with with the AstraZeneca, and I thought, oh, well, you know what, maybe not. I'm not a doctor, but I'm assuming that you guys will be able to figure this out. And, you know, as as it got worse and worse, I thought there's just no way that, you know, someone's health can deteriorate this quickly without having some sort of an accelerant. And you know, and I started getting a little bit concerned about, you know, what the next step was, and what was going to happen to me next as well. You know, is this going to go away? Is it going to continue? And then it took my voice and my speech out. And, you know, I couldn't communicate properly with anybody. My wife was sad, you know, she was scared for me. I was, you know, I was scared for my family because, as you know, I have a large family that, you know, they rely on me. And, you know, and I've always kind of prided myself on taking care of my family. So just all those things coming together all at once just make you think about so many things. And unfortunately, with the effects from this, it's taken that away from me to be able to think through these things. You know, I can't complete small tasks anymore. I can't even think about them because I get overwhelmed with it. It's just
Right.
absolutely horrible.
Right.
But that's just the mental side of things. And now, you know, like I said, I lost my voice for almost a week.
Right.
And now I have it back, which is why I've come to, you know, the awareness thing, of what's going on. Now,
So,
unfortunately, I got my voice back and it took out my mobility.
right. Now you were saying that you thought maybe what happened is that there was swelling in the brain. And how would that have happened through getting this vaccination?
So when I ended up in Ottawa through another visit to the emergency room. And really after the second, third time in Pembroke, I thought, you know what, it's time to move on and go and get another opinion. So I went to Ottawa, went to the Ottawa Civic, ended up going in there, and I was there for a day. And prior to releasing me, that was when I got another tremor, which was, you know, best place to have one is right in the hospital. So at least these doctors can observe what's going on. So that day I actually had two of them, one in the admitting room and one in the actual observation room. At which point I ended up seeing a neurologist, which was great to see. And then later on followed up by two more neurologists as well, to observe me, because really and truly you can tell that, you know, people are observing and learning as this is going on. And it's almost like, you know, I hate to use the word, but I almost feel like a guinea pig where, you know, okay, right on here, we've got a case, come check this out. This is worth your while. And boom, now I had three. So the three of them chatted about what they were seeing and what they thought. And, you know, they came back with diagnosing me with functional neurological disorder, which, you know, is a very vague term for this guy's head is disconnected from the rest of his body.
Wow.
Which is basically what's happened. So my brain, in order for me to have this conversation with you, I'm trying to constantly think a sentence ahead because my mind doesn't seem to have the ability to get that.
Right.
It's with everything I do. When I walk, I have to concentrate on, you know, flexing my leg, opening it up, putting it down, getting ready to take the next step, or I lose my balance and, you know, and I fall over.
Right. Don't worry, I'm here to help, buddy.
Yeah.
And you know what? God, it's so hard. My heart goes out to you. I know that I'm smiling a lot and so on and so forth. I want to keep this as positive as possible to help you. That's why we're having this conversation right now. It's not to poo-poo on anybody, but just to highlight here that it seems to me throughout the story that you've told me so far, if this was anything else, let's say if this was pre-pandemic and you were to be having these symptoms, a lot of stuff would be going down right now to make sure that you're well. Like maybe you wouldn't even be at home. And the fact that we're just seeing you from, the waist up and having a conversation with me right now may give the illusion that Kevin is someone that is well when he is anything but. And I'll make sure to put some videos up on my wall so people can take a look at this man who is suffering. And when something like this happens, you always say like, oh man, that would be horrible to happen to anybody. And it's true. But Kevin, you're one of those guys. The second I saw it, I shared with a couple of my friends, and I'm like, this is one of the nicest guys. And he's always smiling. He's always smiling. So as unfortunate as this is to have happened to you, and I wish it didn't, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody else, but you're the right guy to share this message, because you're a person of integrity. You come from a place of love, and you're always looking out for that next person. So I know that your voice is going to stand strong. So I'm glad that you're here. I just kind of wanted to throw that in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, brother. So let's talk about the fact that, and a big part of our conversation being, no one's helping you right now. You show up, you're saying, I'm having problems. They're telling you that you're depressed, and they're obviously not linking it to you going in to get vaccinated. Just maybe explain what's going on right now between you, the patient, and the doctors that you were hoping were going to be able to help you.
Oh dear. Gosh, I feel like this illness has actually disconnected me from my doctor, unfortunately. I felt as though we had a great relationship, and that between the two of us, we'd be able to come up with a solution. When in fact, really, I feel almost as though I've been avoided, to say the least. I was just in the office the other day to try and get some help, and try to figure out what we can do to follow up on this, because really all I've received so far is some pills to take daily to prepare myself for 5 weeks down the road, which is, this is how long it takes this medication to work. And basically what it does is it helps me build up the receptors of compassion and things like that. So basically they're saying that, eventually, Kevin, you're going to become depressed if you're not already, and we're going to help you with that. They've given me a prescription to go see not a psychiatrist, a sociologist or something like that. That's my help. The next step is, in a month's time, we may look at doing a spinal tap, and the only reason why anyone would do that is so that they can gain more information and knowledge about what's going on with my body. And I get it. But what's happening to it between now and then? This is why I'm pursuing, trying to get a doctor to help me or somebody to help. So here's what's happened. I feel like I just keep getting turned down, or turned away with, it's nothing really we can do. It's not showing up on our radars, which oddly with this, with pretty much everything that's happening to me, the equipment that's in our hospitals doesn't detect this stuff, which is pretty scary. It's almost like a silent something or other. However, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. I'm just saying that, oddly, you can go into the hospital with everything that I have and walk out later with them saying, you have a clear bill of health. You're not going to die this evening. So oddly, now everything I've been through, none of this has ever been reported to the health unit, which is concerning because this has been going on now, serious side effects now for 4 weeks for myself, which means that there's 4 weeks worth of vaccinations that have been done as well, without anyone else's input into whether it's safe or not, or whether there's people being injured and what those true numbers are. I'm trying to be that voice to say that there's people out there that are injured, and the process of reporting it is broken. And it took me almost 2 weeks to report this injury, or at least get it to the point where somebody was willing to speak to me about it or had the time to speak to me about it. Now it's being presented to Dr. Cushman, which means that, this is being reviewed by another doctor. However, it's all initiated by myself and my wife, of course. The problem is if we have a neurological disorder and something that's going on inside of our brains, you're leaving us with too much work to do. It's not something that, this is a task that for me to make a phone call sometimes will take me an hour to do. It's crazy, but it's just the fact.
Wow. And I'm just curious because I know that there's a stigma out there, people that will speak on vaccine awareness. They get labeled as anti-vaxxers. You said it, conspiracy theorists, even though like you went in to get vaccinated. Like it's the most bizarre shit. Like, I'm just curious, are you getting some of that flack, or for the most part with your story now, which has gone viral and has been shared tens of thousands of times? I don't want to focus too much on the negative. I know that you're probably being showered with a lot of positivity, but are there people that are giving you grief just sharing your story, telling it as it's happened?
Oh man. Yes, unfortunately, there's been the odd person calling me a sheep. Just ridiculous stuff that, obviously is just negative energy. Saying that you had all the information in front of you. Why would you even put this in your body in the first place?
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, I mean, they're out there. People are going to throw knives or whatever. And the truth is there's a lot of other information out there that says, go get this done. This is safe, and there's a pile of money being generated into making people believe that this is safe and this program should be rolled out. The problem is they also know that there's people that are going to be injured through this, and there's no program for them.
Right. And that would be where I believe the unsafe element is, because we all knew that there were going to be injuries, but there's no safety net for those people if they fall. And that is very, very scary stuff. And I've been speaking on COVID now since the beginning, and I wasn't too loud in the start, and then I really started to develop my views. And the hashtag that I use on a lot of my posts, even sometimes when they might be charged, even though I'm usually just asking a question, is together. And I don't allow people to call one another sheep, right? And I don't like hearing conspiracy theorists or whatever that might be, because at the end of the day, we're all just doing the best we can with the tools that we have at the time. The damage that we're doing to one another, just the way that we speak and we carry on sometimes in our everyday conversations, I think that we have to focus a little bit more on love. So tell me about some of the love that you've been getting from the community. So number one, you've told me that Lord knows how many people have reached out to say that they have also been injured, as well as people that I'm sure that are just happy that you're out there sharing your story.
Yeah, actually, I do definitely want to mention obviously the others that are suffering too, because we have a huge group, support group that we formed, to support one another, because there's a lot of questions that we have. There's a lot of symptoms that we have, and we're checking to see if they're common between each other, just to kind of build up and try and figure this disease out ourselves as well. I have one group with just 63 people, I believe, they're just people that, we have all common symptoms, and we're trying to sort out a method or something to help. My family's been huge. The community's been really, really nice. It's all part of living in a small community, but it sure has a big feel, because I've got people reaching out from all over Canada and Australia, all over the world actually, that have sent me messages of hope and love, and and things that I truly believe in, and believe that have assisted me with remaining here, and still having some sort of peace of mind that things are going to be okay, and that I just got to stay positive and keep chipping away through it, and focusing on their positive messages and energies that they're sending me. Everything is welcome. This is a world that we need help from everyone, and we need everyone to be united on this, and figure this mess out, and just I don't want to say do your part, but definitely make up your own decisions.
Right, right. So I'm just going to ask, when you're having that lowest of lows, where's your head at?
Oh boy. Well, for starters, my ears never stop ringing. So there is a tone that is playing in my head nonstop of, the one of the worst high-pitched dog whistles you could ever think would go in there. So, you got to get out of that mind frame of what's really bothering you, and just try to find something positive. I find myself sometimes just closing my eyes and sitting underneath the most annoying wind chime just to hear something different,
Mm,
or just being around my family, and knowing that that they understand, and they're not doubting what's going on, and the people around me in the community, if they see me outside, it's not, oh, there's Kevin, he must be faking, he's out on his front lawn, because they'll end up seeing my cane. It's just, and then toot their horn. It's just, as much bad has come out of this, there's so much good too, that really wakes me up, and says that, all the things that you said about me, I'm getting back from giving to people, and seeing it coming back to me. It's great that way.
right. So what does the future look like for Kevin? Like,
Mm.
you're hopeful. I'm hoping that things are going to get better, or there's going to be some type of treatment available. Where's your head at there?
Well, the feedback that I've received, as far as how long this is going to go on for, it's unknown. B, I don't know if this is going to turn into something that's going to go away and come back, and just have flare-ups, or we don't know. What I do know is that, in some things, like my voice, for instance, I've got it back. So I'm hoping that it's going to travel to less important areas of my body, and leave me with the ones that are, really necessary to have a functional life. But at the same time, I'm really going to focus on rehabilitating myself. If there's no help out there, I'll just keep moving, and keep speaking, and keeping my brain exercised, because it's important. I'm not allowed to be working, but I pay close attention to what's going on in the business, just to keep my mind fresh,
Right.
and and keeping myself involved with people that are interested, which, once again, hopefully will make my future brighter with being more effective. I don't want I don't want any more damage to happen.
Right.
And I'm just going to prevent it swelling on the brain and stuff. It's all part of that brain fog, and it literally feels like your brain is bruised for the majority of the day. So,
Right.
I just got to get through that, and then I think I'll be able to push my healing a little bit quicker.
Right. So, Kevin, when is your second shot booked?
Yeah. So oddly, as difficult as it is to get, um, your illness is due to a vaccination, it sure wasn't difficult for me to be advised by a doctor not to get the second shot.
Really?
Yeah. So that's definitely a I'm not that dumb. It's definitely written right on the wall. And, you know, this vaccination might be for some people, and as you know, I don't think it's for everybody, but, you know, if you guys choose to get it, I hope that, you know, I hope that everything goes well with it. And, you know, it's a crapshoot. I don't play with bullets, but I'll play with a little bit of Orajel every now and again because I know it'll wear off.
Yeah. Oh man, I really appreciate you having this conversation, and maybe we'll do it again. I already have some ideas in my head. So many people have questions, Kevin, which makes your voice so important. So before I let you go, like, is there something that you want to speak on just for you? I don't even care what it is, just whatever it is that's on your heart, that you want to share.
Obviously, I have a lot of fears. I have a lot of, you know, worries coming up. I don't really know. I haven't connected all the dots. Putting them together is pretty difficult. You know, there's concerns. We have a huge family. I haven't been to work in 5 weeks. You know, when am I going to go back? We haven't set up anything as far as a GoFundMe or anything like that goes. That's been mentioned a few times. We're toying around with it. Really, like I said, I like to try and do things on my own, but it may turn into something that is necessary down the road. We're toying with that, unfortunately. You know, and of course, community support. I love hearing the feedback. I'm glad that people are happy that I'm stepping up. It's not an easy thing to do, but people like yourself have made it possible. So I'm gonna roll with the punches. I think they picked the wrong person to jab, and you know, and for the people that are suffering, I plan to work with you, and we'll figure out a solution, and we'll get this noticed.
That's awesome. They jab you, you right hook back, buddy.
Yeah, man.
All right. So, Kevin, thank you so much for sharing your story. I know that the people watching right now appreciate it. If you have not subscribed already, please head over to youtube.com/jmanisalive, also the launchpadpodcast.com. And Kevin, before I let you go, where can they find you? I know that you're sharing your stuff. Do they just look for you on Facebook, or is there somewhere else that you want them to go? And maybe just one of the resources that you use that other people out there that might have been injured would like to jump into.
Absolutely. For starters, I mean, feel free to private message me on Facebook. Everyone is. I'm trying to answer every single message that's coming in. I think it's important to connect with everybody who takes the time to connect with me. Ask me as many questions as you have on that. As far as, you know, pointing you in the right directions with resources that are out there behind the scenes, I'll get you that avenue as well. We don't generally like to share it too much because they tend to want to shut us down. So we'll keep that through private messaging and stuff as well. However, my private email is kevin34ca@gmail.com. So if you're, you know, if you prefer to use email or something like that, you can always get me through there. And obviously, you know, you'll find me. I'll be out there. We have a few more avenues to make some noise. So connect with me. It's no problem at all. I'm here. So 24 hours a day.
Right. Let's get Kevin some help, because Kevin's out there trying to help others. You take care. You be well and love simply because you can.